Shalom, shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect out there. All right. And, as the title goes, um, just going to do a more so like a spiritual review, you know, um, because I just find it funny, you know, um, because for one, there's no such thing as coincidences, you know, um, and these devils, they pretty much do the, because you got the prophets on the right hand, right? The men of the Lord. Well, Esau, he tries to mimic everything on the left hand. So, so to say, they're prophets on the left hand. All right, and some of those prophets can come in the form of movie directors and things like that. Because again, they pretty much tell you what they're going to do before they do it. Which again, basically prophets on the left hand. They tell you what they're going to do before they do it. They put a lot of that in their movies, their TV shows, video games. All right. And I watched this movie, the Bird Box movie, earlier today. The Barcelona, because you had the American one a couple of years ago, which is pretty spiritual. But you had this one that I believe it came out this year. And like I said, I just saw it. And just with everything, there's some type of spiritual gems. There's we basically see everything from a spiritual standpoint. All right. And of course you got to be able to spit out you got to be able to chew the meat, spit out the bones, right? But nevertheless, there were some spiritual points, some spiritual nuggets in this movie. But what I really want to focus on, more so in the beginning of this movie, because again, there's no such thing as coincidences. Again, he tells you everything that he's going to do before he does it. And what caught my attention through the spirit, I'm not without spoiling it too much. Pretty much, like I said, I'm trying not to spoil too much. I don't want to give away too much, but they basically gave some backstory to what caused all the chaos, and people started bugging out, and again, not so coincidentally, it caught my attention through the spirit because it's happening now. It's been happening over the weeks and the months as far as these train derailments and other of these chemical disasters or whatnot, right? Well, this is what took place in this movie, all right, that started spreading worldwide. These train derailments, like I said, like I keep saying, there's no coincidence because that's what's going on now. But in this movie setting, long story short, there was these train derailments, all right, that caused these, I guess they call these chemical reactions, and it basically caused people to react chaotically. People started bugging out, all right, and basically a lot of people, man, they were opened up to the spiritual realm. They were opened up to the fourth dimension, pretty much. So like I said, without spilling too much beans, yeah, that's pretty much what took place, or what they mentioned that. And like I keep saying, it's no coincidence because this is what's going on in real life, all right, with all these train derailments and all these chemical spills and everything that's going on right now. And on another note, because a couple of years ago, or 1 or 2 years ago, they were talking about how, going back to this whole campaign that they were pushing for the Capri Sun, right? You know, when they were pushing for everyone to get that thing, you know, the Maxine Waters, you know, and they were pretty much painting a narrative of this, basically some sort of a crisis of those that didn't want to take the Maxine Waters, right? You know, because I always talk about Esau, and one of the tools that he uses is his narratives. All right, Esau, he always has a narrative that he pushes. So not too long ago, roughly 1 or 2 years ago, they were talking, you know, they were pushing this narrative because, you know, everyone was going down to get that Maxine Waters, right? But to those that did want to get it, well, they were pushing a narrative for a hot little second that there could be, you know, this crisis, so to say. You know, people that didn't want to take the Maxine Waters and how they're, or I should say, how we're vulnerable and things of that nature, and it kind of died down. You know, they kind of swept it under the rug. Well, I saw a few things. For one, I was watching a video by Redacted. You know, a lot of brothers, you know, some of us, we do commentaries, videos and lessons based off of their you know, because again, you know, there's spiritual intake you can get from pretty much everything. We look at everything from a spiritual sense, and we filter it through the scripture. So I was watching Redacted, and I believe his name is Clay Morrison or Morton or something like that, But as well as a few other things I was watching, because again, with this whole thing with the Maxine Waters and people not getting it, well, there could be this crisis, right? They swept it under the rug. Well, it appears that they're trying to push that narrative again, all right, of this crisis. Because remember, if you remember, when this whole thing with the campaign of the Maxine Waters came out a couple of years ago, without, you know, putting too much information out there, they said those that take it, basically gave them up to 2 years, you know, and we're coming up to that 2-year mark, you know. So we know at any moment, man, it's just at some point it's going to get chaotic out here. All right, people are going to start bugging out. They're going to start losing their mind, right? You know, but don't think it's a far-fetched thing when, again, people do start bugging out. People start freaking out, losing their mind. Don't think it's a far-fetched thing if they start blaming those that didn't take the Maxine Water. All right. You know, again, I said all that to say to say this again. Don't be surprised if they push the narrative when people start bugging out that they blame it on those that didn't take the Maxine Water, when in actuality, those that took the Maxine Waters, they're the ones that are bugging out. But they're going to push the narrative, they're going to blame the ones that didn't take the Maxine Waters. Don't be surprised if they push that narrative, you see. You know, but nevertheless, like I said, it's no coincidence. Going back to this movie, all right, Bird Box, the Barcelona edition, I guess you could say. That's pretty much how it started, how the chaos ensued. Train derailments, all right, chemical spills, and then it caused everyone to start reacting chaotically. You see? And what do we see going on right now in real life, in real time? It's been going on over the past few weeks and months. The same thing, you know. I touched on this a while ago, some months ago. You had the movie that came out last year. I forgot the name of the movie, but they mentioned in the movie they mentioned the train derailment in Ohio, right? And not so coincidentally, this was right around the same time you had the actual train derailment in Ohio. So like I said, you know, Esau, he tells you what he's going to do before he does it. So there's no coincidences. Like I said, there's no coincidences. So, you know, it just had me thinking, you know, It just had me thinking, with all the train derailments and everything that's going on, all the chemical spills and everything that's going on in real time, hey, it's just a matter of time, man. It's just a matter of time, because one day we're going to wake up and it's going to be totally different. It's going to be chaos. People are really going to start bugging out here, man. So I'm going to get this real quick in Ecclesiastes. Because, there's so much going on right now, from talks of strains on a power grid, right? There's talks of these, what do they call them? I think they call them the CMTs or something like that. Well, basically these solar flares from the sun, which can cause something similar to an EMP attack. So basically, long story short, blackouts. All right. Because again, it's only a matter of time, or Slacky, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And it's only a matter of time before these things that happen. The scriptures talk about in Ecclesiastes 12, going into the almond tree shall flourish, going into these prophecies. Eventually, we're going to go from speaking these things to actually living it. All right, it's going to be real time. These aren't going to be rumors for too much longer. It's only a matter of time. So with that being said, Ecclesiastes 11, I'm going to read it in the bear with me. Oh, I'm in the wrong book. Ecclesiastes 11. Ecclesiastes 11, and I'm going to read verse 9 in the NLT. Because our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, you keep thinking that this is a game. All right? And we can't emphasize the seriousness enough, man. The Lord is not playing. But this is why Jacob's trouble is necessary. That's going to be the equalizer. All right? People keep thinking that the Lord is playing, and they're going to find out. Because it's through judgment. That's how Yahweh Shema Shai is going to establish his reputation once again and permanently. So Ecclesiastes 11 and 9 in the NLT. Young people, it's wonderful to be young. Enjoy every minute of it. Do everything you want to do. Take it all in. But remember that you must give an account to Yahweh Shema Shai for everything you do. So you see, because we're all going to have to appear before the Lord's judgment seat. All right? And we are vastly approaching the time of the Lord's judgment. And we're all going to have to give account of our works, man. We're all going to have to give an account. Right? But you see, the difference between the elect and the non-believers is that faith. Because, hey, the elect, they're going to get it. They're going to take heed to the one. We were touching on this last night, this past Saturday. Hey, all the Lord has to do is flinch. Jake, boy, listen, hey, hopefully, like, we get it. All right, we don't want no smoke. We don't want no smoke, man. All right, so that's why the elect, they're going to be pardoned. Lord willing, we're at that number. The elect are going to be pardoned, but to everyone else, hey, you're gonna have to take this ass whooping. And it's gonna hurt. Do death by pain. Do death by pain, man. But hey, that's okay. Because enjoy every moment that you got now while you got it. Because the time is gonna come. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I'm gonna read that again. Ecclesiastes 11 and 9 in the NLT. Young people, it's wonderful to be young. Enjoy every minute of it. Do everything you want to do. Take it all in. So you see, go ahead. Because we're not in the business of persuading anyone. We're not holding anyone's hands. Hell, We can't even save ourselves. We're trying to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. So we're not trying to hold anyone's hands in this, man. All right. The scriptures talk about seeking after those that are like-minded, roughly paraphrasing, those that have the same mind towards you, right? Because it's only a handful of individuals. It's only a select few. This is thing of ours, man. It's a very exclusive circle. You see, but to everyone else, go ahead, live it up. Live it up. Do what you want to do, because when our time comes, hey, no one's gonna be able to say they didn't know. No one's gonna be able to say they didn't know. And even if you didn't, because that's the cold thing with Yahweh Shema Shai. That's the cold thing with Yahweh Shema Shai. The Lord is cold. Because you see, the prophets have always been around since the time of Genesis, since the beginning. All right. And what have the prophets been doing since the beginning? Hey, they've been talking about the second coming of Yahweh Shai. They've been talking about the end since the beginning. So even if you didn't get it in this lifetime, the Lord is cold, because at some point you did hear this word. So in either way, there's no excuse. Either way, there's no excuse. You see? So with that being said, because the Lord's not going to keep with this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Nah, man. Eventually the Lord's going to show. He's going to show up and he's going to show out. The talk is not going to go on for all of eternity. We're not going to be out in the highways and byways trying to warn our people forever. This isn't some hobby. Like a lot of Jake think that this is just some hobby that we do. Well, hey, real soon people are going to find out why we took this so serious. Deadly, because it's a matter of life and death. But to everyone else, live it up. Go ahead and do what you want to do. All right? Because when the Lord shuts this thing down, hey, that's it. That's it, man. There's about to be a lot of chaos, confusion, death, killing. All right? I'm going to get this in Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 24. The fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until he have done it, and until he hath performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it. So you see, man, ye shall know perfectly. All right. In that day, that's when you're going to consider. But hey, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late by then. It's going to be too late. All right. It's going to be too late. Because what's coming down the pipes, man, our words will never do justice. As I always say, our words will never do justice. Yahweh Shema Shai is about to tear this bitch up, man. All right. It's about to be a lot of, like I said, chaos, anarchy, confusion. Going back to the movie, man, and so much that, hey, people, they opened, it was Egypt all over again, the plagues of Egypt. The Lord opened those Egyptians. He opened them up to the fourth dimension. They were plagued in the mind. They were seeing all type of stuff, hearing stuff, a darkness that was so thick they can feel it. Wait, the Lord's bringing those plagues back. The Lord's about to open these people up to the fourth dimension. These demons, man, these spirits, the Lord's about to give them the green light. The Lord is about to give these spirits the go ahead, man. Hey, judgment is about to have her final dance. Salakia, death is about to have its final dance. It's last hoorah. You see, 10 people left to a city. It's going to be that hectic, man. It's going to be chaotic out here. It's going to be dangerous. You're going to hear your neighbors getting ransacked, their homes getting ravished, women getting raped. Hey, these people, they're going to be killing for sport, right? Let me get this. You're going to hear people are going to be hearing their neighbor's door getting kicked in. They're going to be screaming, right? And here it is. You're in your house, hearing what's going on next door, and you have no idea if you're next, if it's coming to you. Just that feeling of not knowing, just that fear, that feeling of no assurance of that life. Because scriptures like that, going back to the curses in Deuteronomy, man, a lot of those scriptures, man, they're really going to play out come Jacob's trouble, man. All right, now to have no assurance of thy life. Some of those scriptures are really going to be magnified in Jacob's trouble, because again, you're not going to know a lot when your next meal is going to come from. Like I said, you're going to hear people next door to you getting their door kicked in, screaming, raping, gunshots going off, whatever the case may be, right? And if you're not of the elect, hey, you're going to be hearing that shit, not knowing, not just questioning, wondering if you're next. Am I next? Right? You're gonna hear these people talking outside your house or wherever you're hiding at, and it's just gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary. You know? And when you watch that movie, it was rather interesting. It was an interesting movie. But just that fear. As soon as people heard that, I forgot what basically the demons, that's pretty much what they were in the movie. They were pretty much demons. And as soon as they felt that those demons, those spirits coming around, listen, those people, they were terrified. And they were trying to get the hell out of Dodge, man. A lot of them didn't make it. A lot of people didn't make it. We're coming into some very scary times. What was I going to get? I was going to get this in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 15 in verse 2. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Because again, in that day, the scriptures talk about how there's not going to be no vision coming from the prophets, roughly paraphrasing. There's not going to be no vision coming from the priests, roughly paraphrasing. Listen, like I said, we're not going to be out there on the forefront, on the highways and byways like we are now, trying to warn our people. No, man. In that day, now you are going to have, because you are going to have some of the elect waking up in that day, all right? The innumerable multitude waking up in that time, those last hour Israelites, all right? But the for the most part, teaching that brothers are going to be doing is going to be more so underground teaching. Like I said, brothers in Jacob's trouble, we're not going to be on the highways during martial law, and no, we're not going to be in Jacob's trouble teaching on highways and byways. So a lot of teaching is going to be done underground, so to say, low key. All right, but as far as this, basically the Lord making himself accessible like he is now, it's not going to be like this, So a lot of people in that day are going to get the cold shoulder, and that's ultimately from the Lord. So Jeremiah 15:1 again, Jeremiah 15:2. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. So basically death and destruction on all sides, man. All right, death and destruction on all sides, neighbor against neighbor, just chaos. All right, the love of many waxing cold, I'm gonna get that. All right, but it said as for the captivity to the captivity, because as I was bringing out the point about how, like I said, you hear your neighbor's door getting kicked in, right? People getting drug out, people getting executed on the spot, people getting raped, ravished right there, right? Families are going to get separated. People are going to get hauled off to these, isolation centers, quote unquote. I'll say weaker camps, If you know, people are going to get taken against their will, held for captive, right? Because it's going to be so bad out here. Hey, like that one scene out of that movie, The Road, where you had this father and the son. They came across his house and they thought it was all good, but come to find out, they go in the basement. It was a basement full of people. They were basically being stored for food, And by the time they realized what was going on, hey, the people, the owners of the house, man, they were coming, they were coming back. They were out doing whatever, and they just so happened to come back. But come to find out, it was a basement full of people, and they were basically storage for food. They were basically being refrigerated. Basically, that's going to happen in real life. 144 times worse. So people are going to be getting taken whether it be to these, isolation centers, or whether it's for food. You're going to be kept for food. Another movie, what was it? I forgot the name of it. I know Jason Momoa was in it. I forgot the name of the movie, but basically, in this movie, it was almost like a Mad Max type of setting, and basically, there's a couple of scenes that basically they showed you how it was so bad that some of the people that were kidnapped, they would basically take off certain parts of them for food, because you had one of the main girls of the movie. She ended up getting caught, right? And they ended up taking off her leg and eating it. She ended up escaping, and she went through the whole movie with one leg. But this is what they were doing in the movie. They were basically, the people that they were kidnapping, because it was so bad, the people that they were kidnapping, held in captivity, they were using them for meat, taking off certain parts of their limbs for food. Again, that's going to be in real life, real time, 144 times worse. You see, so people are going to get taken captive, right? It's going to be chaotic. Let me go ahead and get this real quick. In Matthew 24:12, and because iniquity shall abound, right? Because again, when there's martial law, when there is, again, it's not a matter of if, but when there is a blackout, the internet's out, when everything's hyperinflated, when it just gets too impossible to live, man. Because I always say it's going to go back to a primitive state. All right, it's going to go back. Everyone's going to go primal, and those instincts are going to kick in of survival. It's going to be a one of those things. What do they call it? Survival of the fittest out here, man. It's going to be a dog-eat-dog world. You're not going to have cops patrolling the streets. 911 is going to be out of business in that day. As we've been telling you time in and time out, 911 is going to be out of business in that day. That's why we're going to need that hedge. Our hedge is going to be Yahweh Shemal Shaman. That's our best bet. We don't stand no chance out here without the Lord's protection. Right? So again, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And when you go into that phrase, all right, it goes into psycho. The love of many waxing cold. All right, it goes into psycho. That's immediately what I thought of when I going back to this movie, and they brought it out. They basically showed the cause of why everyone was losing their minds and why everyone started bugging out. Everyone went in this psychotic stage. They were killing each other, killing one another. And there's plenty of movies that, we see these things. What was another one? With Samuel L. Jackson and this one guy, I always forget his name. I always forget his name. But I forgot the name of the movie as well. And it's spiritual as well, because in this particular movie, it goes into those towers, the cell phone towers, right? And another thing that we've been just speculating through the spirit, with these towers, all right, out here, with these towers that they got, we think that a lot of us believe that, somehow, some way, shape, form, or fashion, they're gonna turn up these frequencies, because we don't know how they're gonna do it. We know it's gonna happen. We just don't know how it's gonna go about. So we can't be ignorant of anything small or great, any matter small or great, man. Because again, we can't put anything past this devil. But in some way, shape, form, or fashion, however they do it, people are gonna start bugging out. And I'm just saying, don't be surprised if they put the narrative that it's because of those that didn't want to take the Maxine Waters. All right, those that didn't want to sleep with the Vanessa. All right, don't be surprised if they paint that narrative. Those that refused. You see, because one way or the other, people are gonna turn into. It's gonna be full chaos mode out here real soon. Right. So I'm gonna go to this in Isaiah. Isaiah 22, starting at 1. Matter of fact, I'm going to read this in the NLT. Isaiah 22:1 in the NLT. This message came to me concerning Jerusalem, the valley of vision. What is happening? Why is everyone running to the rooftops? The whole city is in a terrible uproar. What do I see in this reveling city? Bodies are lying everywhere, killed not in battle, but by famine and disease. So as I read in Jeremiah, hey, people are going to be dying by the sword, those that are slated to die to death by death, to those captivity, to the captivity. But you're also going to have people dying by disease, plagues, pestilences, right? Because they've been talking about a new demic, a new crisis, a new boogeyman, you know. So, hey, get ready for another world crisis. They did label this year the year of the poly crisis. So get ready for another crisis. All right. Get ready for more lockdowns. All right. Get ready for the real deal. You know, the scriptures talk about the Lord. He sends the scourges for a minute. What we've seen from 2020 up until, you know, now has all been a test run. It's all been but a beta test. People thought that the worst was behind us, right? And, you know, people are so optimistic and, you know, so optimistic about getting back to quote unquote normal. Listen, the scriptures talk about the beginning of sorrows, man. We ain't seen nothing yet. And from, you know, the past couple of years, you know, they've been labeled these some of the worst years on record, on the books. These are some of the worst years on record. And you ain't seen nothing yet. We haven't seen nothing yet. You know, these ain't been nothing but scourges for the amendment. We've gotten a small taste of what we're going to see. So get ready. Again, as I read, and that's why I want to read this, because as I read before, hey, live it up now. Go ahead and play. Go play. Go ahead. Do what you want to do now. But just know, there's going to come a time where the Lord's going to stop talking. All right? It says, verse 3, in the NLT, all your leaders have fled. They surrendered without resistance. The people tried to slip away, but they were captured too. As I read, some are going to be taken into captivity, right? It says, verse 4, that's why I said, leave me alone to weep. Do not try to comfort me. Let me cry for my people as I watch them be destroyed. Verse 5, oh, what a day of crushing defeat. What a day of confusion and terror brought by the Lord of heaven's armies upon the valley of vision. The walls of Jerusalem have been broken and cries of death echo from the mountainside. So you see, man, you know, because, hey, Israel, man, 2/3, they're about to become a spoil. It's going to get bad, man. You know, and I often think about Yahushua, because, you know, Yahushua, he's the top alpha, all right? You know, he's the top alpha man, the top alpha male, you know? You know, we are young alphas in training, but Yahushua, he's the top alpha. And I often think about going back to before the persecution of Rome, you know, 70 AD, Yahushua warned them what was going to come, you know? He told them what was getting ready to happen. And Yahushua, he's like, man, y'all don't know what's getting ready to happen to y'all, man. Y'all don't even know what's coming. And it was so bad. Yahushua, that's when you read the scriptures about how Yahushua, he wept, man. He cried because, like, damn, Jake, man, they really don't know what's getting ready to happen. And again, we're talking about the alphas of alphas, man, the top alpha male, you know? And I always talk about 2/3, man. You know, 2/3, yeah, they're an enemy to the cross right now. It's not personal. But at the same time, fuck Jake, you know? But at the same time, it's like, damn, you know? Going back to kind of going back to how Yahushua was thinking. This is like, man, damn, Jake really don't know what's getting ready to happen, man. You almost feel bad for him, but then you don't. But then sometimes you do, but then you don't. You know, because you understand how it has to play out like this. You know, Jake, they need this ass whooping. They need Jacob's trouble. All right, what's getting ready to come it's necessary. But it's just like, man, damn, if Jake knew, you know. But hey, it is what it is, you know. So I'm gonna read that in the regular version, Isaiah 22:5. For it is a day of trouble and of treading down and of perplexity by the Lord power of hosts, in the valley of vision, breaking down the walls and of crying to the mountains. So you see that perplexity, you know, and basically that perplexity, it goes into just basically all just bad things, man. It's just hell on all sides, tribulation on all sides, you know. Because Jacob's about to get ran through out here, man. You know, man. But I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna jump down to verse 12. It says, and in that day did the Lord power of hosts call to weeping, and to mourning, and to baldness, and to girding with sackcloth, because we're supposed to be in the house of feasting, or slakia. We're supposed to be in the house of mourning. Because I touched on this earlier about how, hey, it might have been in the video that I did today or yesterday, but basically, you know, being in captivity, all right, being that we're catching hell, it's supposed to be a thing of crying out to the Lord, man. You know, we're supposed to be silent crying. That's supposed to, all this hell that we're catching, it's supposed to make us cry out to the Lord. So we're supposed to be in the house of mourning. So that's why, again, the Lord said, and in that day, the Lord power of hosts call to weeping, and to mourning, and to baldness, and to girding with sackcloth. So we're supposed to be in the house of mourning, right? But verse 13, it says, and behold, joy and gladness, slaying oxen and killing sheep, eat flesh and drinking wine. Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we shall die. So you see, man, Jake isn't out. Let's fuck it. We gotta die someday, right? We gotta die someday, right? We might as well just live it up. That YOLO spirit, right? Jake is just, as I read in Ecclesiastes, go ahead, live it up, have it your way for now, all right? Because hey, the day is gonna come. The day is gonna come. Is today the day? Right? Inside joke. But the day is gonna come. The day is gonna come, man. And Yahweh Shema Shai, he's gonna show up, and he's gonna, because in that day he's not doing no talking. How do we know? Because the Lord's doing the talking now. You know, and people refuse to take heed to the voice of Yahweh Shema Shai, which comes in the form of his prophets. All right. But in that day, the Lord's not gonna do no talking. He's just gonna lay hands, man. He's just gonna lay the hammer. You know, but Lord willing, this is edifying. Call Allah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. Until the next one.